Coming up on part 3 of Strong Delusions.
The theory of Lucifer says that Satan in heaven was good, then he backslid, right? But that's not what the Bible says. Now you see, you are disturbed. Because you're like, how can God make the devil? But he created the darkness. And he created hell. Son of what? Is the devil the son of anyone? Take up lamentation over who? King of Tyre. And say to him, thus says the Lord God, you are the full measure and pattern of exactness, giving the finishing touch to all that constitutes completeness, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You are in Eden. Who was in Eden? Man. The garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. Now you see, the problem is we read these things and we assume that he was covered with stones. You know, that's a very stupid idea, right? Surely, who wants to be covered by stones? In other words, when you get an insurance cover, does the insurance give you a blanket for your car? If you look at the Garden of Eden, what did God provide for Adam? Wasn't there gold and precious stones of every kind? So didn't God cover him with those things? Right? And your settings and your sockets and engravings were wrought in gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. But we know this is true. The day Adam was created, Eden was prepared. Duh. Sindio? You are the anointed cherub that covers with overshadowing wings. Now there is where we assume that the devil is a cherub. And I set you so. You are upon the holy mountain of God. What is the holy mountain of God? Us, right? You walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire, like the paved work of gleaming sapphire stone, upon which the God of Israel walked on Sinai. Right? See, you walked with God. Right? See, Adam walked with God. Let's continue. Let's see. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were. Wasn't Adam blameless? Until iniquity and guilt were found. Through the abundance of your commerce, you are filled with lawlessness. Please note, does the devil do commerce? Who was doing commerce? It's Adam. He was put in the garden to do what? To tend it, to bring profit from it, right? So he became what? You're filled with lawlessness and violence, and you sinned. Therefore, I cast you out as a profane thing from the mountain of God, and the guardian cherub drove you out from the midst of the stones of fire. Question. Who did God drive Adam away with? Wasn't it cherub? Your heart was proud and lifted up because of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I lay you before kings that they might gaze at you. Now again, it's speaking of Adam, Nebuchadnezzar, and those kings, and us. Now let me find you. This is what happens to many Christians. You come to God humble. Sindio? Then breakthrough starts coming up. Then what happens? Get to be puffed up. Start saying, leo ni masterclass. Niende sijiski, right? Because now you've gotten enough to get you going. Then what happens invariably and inevitably is a cherub. By the way, one day I'll teach about cherubim and why they represent human beings and not angels. But anyway, with time, don't stone me. People who studied angelology. Right? One day I'll say how cherub describes humanity, not angels, right? Yeah, because, question, why would an angel have eyes everywhere? Is that a practical thing? You know, Christians read things. Why would you need 6 wings? And where would you put them? Seriously, you try drawing 6 wings on anything. Where will you put it? On the neck? So you have a tiny one, then one on the back, and then a bum, yeah? For what? You understand? The image of the cherubim and the reason they change is a metaphor for humanity, but another day, okay? Then the pride of your heart, because of your beauty. Vile Mungu amekung'arisha, you start getting proud. And it's very easy to get proud. You start hearing God. You start reading the Bible for yourself. Start making a little bit of money. People get proud for all manner of things. People even get proud because now they can speak in tongues. Christians are interesting. And then, inevitably, you want to rule. That's the trick. But then let me tell you something. Never desire to rule. Never. Rulership should be forced on you. Should be like David. You're anointed king, you go back to taking care of sheep. Problem with us is, unajua mimi ni king, maze. Lucifer. Let's go, and I need to show you these things. You have profaned your sanctuaries by the multitude of your iniquities and the enormity of your guilt, by the unrighteousness of your trade. Therefore, I have brought forth a fire from your midst. It has consumed you, and I have reduced you to ashes. Upon where? Upon where? So is the devil on earth? All who know you among the people. Among where? So why did we assume that Lucifer is Satan? Are astonished and appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end and shall never return to being. He came to an end. Now let's look at scriptures that now will help you understand that the devil is not. I, Jesus, have sent my messenger angel to you to witness and to give you assurance of these things for the churches I'm sending. I am the root, the source, the offspring of David, the radiant and brilliant morning. So is Jesus Lucifer? You see, the translators had a problem with these things. You see, let me explain to you. There was a first Adam, the last Adam. So if the first Adam was a star, then Jesus was the last star. You understand? That's why it says that he desired to raise his seat above the stars of heaven. Okay? Do you understand? So stars are metaphors for who? You and I. Are we together? Are we okay? All right, let's continue. I was told to go very slowly. Now, the theory of Lucifer says that Satan in heaven was good, then he backslid, right? But that's not what the Bible says. This is what Jesus says. You are of your father, and it is your will to practice the lusts and gratify the desires which are characterized of your father. He was a murderer from when? And does not stand with truth. So let's understand, as far as Jesus is concerned, The devil was a murderer from, so he did not backslide. He was always like that. God made him like that. Now you see, you are disturbed. Because you're like, how can God make the devil? But he created the darkness. And he created hell. Sindio? And they all exist in him, right? And for him. Are we together? Because I told you I'll be stoned for this one. The devil from day one was a murderer. There was no backsliding. Because, please note, what was lacking in him? No, wait, he was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the, because there is no, okay. So if you do not want to be like your father the devil or Lucifer, what do you need to have? Truth. Are we together? So please understand that truth is central to all this narrative. Because, let me tell you something interesting. When the devil was tempting Adam, he gave him two temptations. One, you will be like God, correct? And two, you will know the difference between good and, in other words, you will practice the law. So the temptation, by the way, is not going to the club. The temptation is being a Pharisee. The devil is very happy when you're a Pharisee. You're doing the devil's work. Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the... All who came before me are thieves. What came before Jesus? The law. Do you understand me? And please understand, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the law are both given by God. So the temptation, the trial, is never at you, oh, Mother, I was tempted, I went to the club. No, you just went to the club. The temptation is how you treat that action. You remember the picture I sent? I have sinned, I need to hide from my dad. Versus I have sinned, I need to go to my dad. That is the test. That is the test. The test is not sin because all have sinned. That's very clear. The test is the response. That our hearts cry out to God when we fall. And the Lord tells us, like Adam, to hide and be ashamed. And that's what we do every day. Just to prove to you, you are a lawyer. Let's find out. The last sin you did you hide? Or do people know? In fact, do people know if you are a sinner at all? Yeah? See, in Christianity, because we are Pharisees, all of you are righteous, right? Lucifer. When he speaks a falsehood, he speaks what is natural to him. Listen, natural. You see, if he was created righteous, then what is natural to him cannot be that which is unrighteous. Are you together? For he is a liar himself and the father of lies and of all that is false. But because I speak what? The truth, you do not believe me, you do not trust me, nor do not adhere to me. Sorry, I'll just keep that. Who of you convicts me of wrongdoing or finds me guilty of sin? Then if I speak truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God listens to God. Those who belong to God hear the words of God. This is the reason that you do not listen to those words to me, because you do not belong to God and are not of God or in harmony with him. My question, who is he speaking to? Pharisees. Now you see, the problem is it's easy to sit in judgment. It is easy to sit and say, Ken, how many tattoos do you have? That's an easy thing. Right? It is harder to operate in grace. It is harder to operate free from the law. So you got to know. Are you seeing the great delusion? Maybe to understand. But he who commits sin, who practices evil doing, is of the devil, takes his character from the evil one. For the devil has sinned and violated the divine law from when? The reason the Son of God was made manifest, visible, was to undo, destroy, loosen, and dissolve the works the devil has done. Are we together? Let's continue. No one born begotten of God deliberately, knowingly, habitually practices sin. For God's nature abides in him. His principle of life, the divine sperm, remains permanently within him, and he cannot practice sinning because he is born begotten of God. Now people have problems here. Because you read this and you assume it says, I should never ever sin. But what it's actually saying, this is the same book by the 1 John, where it says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So you need to take the two statements together. By this it is made clear who take their nature from God and are his children, and who take their nature from the devil and are his. So how does it go? No one who does not practice righteousness, who does not conform to God's will in purpose, thought, and. So what is he talking about here? He's not talking about the law. He is talking about conforming to God's purpose, thought, and action. So he's taking you back to Isaiah. He's saying who is charitable, who is good, who is caring, who is loving, and who is willing to learn. Because he continued to say, neither is anyone who does not love his brother. So this sin is not the sin you know per law. Are we together? Because he continues to say, for this is the message, the announcement which you have heard from the first, that we should love and not be like Cain, who took his nature and got his motivation from the evil. Now let me teach you how to be evil. And slew his brother. And why did he slay him? Because his deeds, activities were wicked and malicious, and his brothers were righteous. Pause. What were his deeds? Offering sacrifices. To who? To God. That is called the delusion. That's why it says, no one who is born of God practices that sin. Because the motives of your heart have changed. Because you're not malicious, you're not wicked. What are you? You're loving, you're caring, you're willing to give to the needy, you're willing to reach out, you're willing to change. And let me tell you the danger of traditions. Can I explain to you what happens with traditions? Nick, come. Okay. Now I want to show you how they used to do it in campus. So we are tuko CU, mimi na Nick, si ndio? Nick amesema yeye ameokoka, he will abstain. Si ndio? So he does not drink, He has no girlfriend, nothing, right? Then he meets me, Brother Mark, as we used to call each other. Staggering. Okay? Question. Why does Nick get angry? No, have you ever wondered? Why do Christians get angry at someone else's sin? Sijaelewa your story. See, I'm the one who's staggering, but he's the one who's angry. I'm the one who will not have money for chapati madondo, but he's the one who's angry. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because he practices a righteousness that is dangerous. In his mind, he wishes he could club. He really wishes he could. But he can't, because he's a good person. Right? Now he is angry for two things. That you did something he has sworn not to do and you didn't die. Because the reason he is not doing it is because there'll be punishment. Now you come back staggering, completely okay. How offensive, how dare you? Have you ever noticed that when someone wrongs you, they tend to prosper? You've never noticed that? You are angry, waiting for God. Okay, revenge me, God. And then this person gets more anointed. Have you ever seen that? Oh, we have the same problem with Kanyari. So we ask, why is his church closed? What do you know if he repented? You think if he repented, God will change his call? He would continue being a preacher. So I don't understand why people waste time at his a preacher has been kicked out. Why? Unajua tukimpeleka Rwanda, he will do the same thing. Don't waste time. So what happens is usually because of our legalistic mindset and Luciferian ideas, we think we deserve better. So you will say, I have kept myself. Behold, I am now 30. Okay? You assume there's a halo in your head. You're walking around. Oh. So now what happens? I've kept myself. I'm 30. This one has impregnated 16 girls and they've all aborted. Okay? And then, who do you expect to be married? Me, right? But I can't find a date. And the guy is married with 2 kids. What is born in me? Bitterness. You understand? So the delusion in our heads is very simple. That we think by performance we can please God. It's delusion number 1. And then we think by performance then we can measure each other. And therefore limit and qualify the gift of God in each other. So you're like, Boni, kumbuka ile siku krimlika ilikam, alikunywa kila kitu. Alafu, you can sit down. Alafu imagine, Maka kamchagua a preach. So there's that. Delusion number 2 is that your prayers are more important. That you feel the world changes because you prayed or you did something. Delusion number 2. Delusion number 3. Oh, husbands, can I rescue you? You know, when Eve fell, there's like a strange statement that says your desire shall be for your husband. And then it says, and he shall rule over you. Mistranslation. Your desire shall be to rule over your husband, but he shall rule over you. That's a correct translation. In other words, this happens a lot. Let me explain it practically, then you'll get it. You see, women, when you marry a husband, inevitably utadiscover ni kajinga. Every married woman knows I'm saying the truth. Now, but you see what happens? You see what happens is it does not change who is the first. It does not change. So what happens a lot of the time is you want to rob him of his privileges, his access, his everything because he's made a mistake and you want to rule. Let me tell you, you're being a little Jezebel and Lucifer. It's the same thing we do in church. Umeingia worship team, ukadiscover huyu worship team leader anavutanga sigara. Then what becomes your desire? To rule over? My dear, my friend, you know how God chooses leaders? Very simply, it's the principle of fast. It's that simple, by the way. There's nothing special. You know, people ask, why should men be the head of the woman? There's nothing bad about it. It's because Adam was created. That's it. Hakuna kitu special. So question, why is your preacher fast? There's nothing. Listen, Mark Bichachi is probably a worse sinner than you. Most likely. But we always need to be careful for that temptation that comes. And it comes every so often in life where you want to ascend the mountain of God.